My sister stole my fiancé. You won't believe who I married instead. William and I had been together for 7 years, ever since we met in college. It was a long-distance relationship for most of that time, but we made it work. My sister Susan had always been around, tagging along, calling William brother, acting like she was part of our little world. He treated her like a little sister, and I never really thought much of it. But apparently, those feelings weren't as innocent as they seemed. Susan is my half-sister. We have different mothers. Our parents divorced when I was young, and my father focused most of his attention on me because of my talent in dance. As a child, Susan was adorable. Chubby cheeks, always clinging to me while we slept. But as she grew older, things changed. She started blaming me for things that weren't my fault. She would say things like, "Dad, if you want to hit someone, hit me, sister likes it." At the time, I didn't understand what manipulation was. How could such a young child be so calculating? My dad's attitude toward me shifted over the years, especially after he remarried. Susan's biological mother became my stepmom. I tried harder, studied more, danced longer, hoping to earn his love, but nothing worked. Meanwhile, Susan watched and waited. I was wary of her even when I started dating William. The first couple of years were fine. I was in college and she was still in high school. But once I graduated and she started college, things began to change. Every weekend we had plans, she'd call me crying, saying she missed me, asking why I didn't love her anymore. I tried to keep my distance, but every time she'd break down, begging me not to push her away. William would mediate, telling me to cut her some slack because she was young and just wanted to be close to me. We argued about it often. He thought I was being unreasonable, and I thought he didn't understand how strange her behavior was. Now here's where everything fell apart. We had booked a gorgeous venue at a 5-star hotel for our engagement ceremony. It was a duplex space, crystal chandeliers, a spiral staircase, a lounge upstairs. I was getting my makeup done in the dressing room when Susan walked in wearing a stunning outfit that highlighted all her best features. I remember thinking how different we looked. I was always casual, jeans and t-shirts, while she looked like she belonged in a magazine. She asked me to teach her how to apply makeup, and I couldn't tell if she was genuinely clueless or pretending to be. She left quickly, rushing downstairs to meet our parents. The makeup artist commented on how lively and sweet she seemed. I just smiled. Some things are better left unsaid. William was running late picking me up, and no one answered their phone when I called. A friend told me he had gone upstairs already. Something inside me clicked. Without thinking, I got up and walked out, my dress swaying around me. Next to the dressing room was a lounge with the door slightly ajar. I heard voices. It was William. He said, "This is the last time I'll call you brother. From now on, you'll be my brother-in-law." Then Susan's voice. "Brother, what should we do? I really like you." And then William again. "Susan, don't do this. Me and your sister are about to have our engagement ceremony." The room went quiet. I stood there frozen for a second before pushing the door open. There they were on the couch, kissing. His hand under her dress. Everything stopped. This was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. Instead, I was watching my fiancé and my sister fall apart in front of me. They scrambled off the couch, hair messy, suit wrinkled. Susan dropped to her knees almost immediately, slapping herself in the face, crying, "Sister, forgive me." William stood in front of her, trying to explain. But what was there to explain? I looked at him and said, "Your words say no, but your actions are quite honest. The engagement doesn't need to be cancelled. Just change the bride." And just like that I walked away. Tears streamed down my face. Years of love gone in an instant. Susan followed me, pleading, "This time it wasn't intentional. We didn't do anything wrong. Please believe me and let's proceed with your engagement properly." I laughed bitterly. How could we go on like nothing happened? William stood by the door, mostly watching Susan, pity in his eyes. That look broke me even more. I hadn't realized until then how deep this had already gone. In my heels and long skirt, I ran down the stairs, but my dress caught under my foot. I tumbled down like a dumpling, pain shooting through my ankle. Everyone rushed over, but I knew right away it was bad. As a dancer, I could tell the difference between a sprain and a fracture. This was worse. Much worse. At the hospital, the doctor confirmed it. My ankle was shattered. Surgery required a steel plate. And maybe I'd never dance again. That day I lost my lover. And my career. Back in my hospital room, dancers from the troupe cried quietly. William stayed by my side, promising to take care of me forever. Susan stood at the door, sobbing, glancing at William like a hurt wife. I ignored them both. My stepmother finally snapped. It wasn't your sister who pushed you down the stairs. Why are you making such a fuss? It's just a leg for you, but for her, it's a lost love. I felt nothing but ashes. Not just for William, for the entire family. Later, she told my dad she was packing up all my belongings, childhood to adulthood, and wanted me to move out. I nodded, handed my house key to my dad, and asked him to help me move. No drama. No fight. William kept coming to see me every few days. I ignored him. He cut fruit, poured water, and repeated, once you recover, we'll get married. I'll take care of you forever. Susan came every day too. Crying, begging for forgiveness. I told her to leave, and she'd kneel and wail louder, as if the whole world needed to witness her pain. Eventually they stopped hiding it. William would come, then Susan would show up, and they'd leave together. The other patients would make comments like, your boyfriend seems nice to your sister. He's so caring towards you, the elder sister. What could I say? Could I admit I had sacrificed one leg to fulfill this couple? I finally told them both, please just leave. Don't come here to put on a show. Why not go finish whatever you started? They did. After that, my father dropped off 4 woven bags filled with clothes, books, photo frames, skincare products, toothpaste, chargers. All thrown together. I sorted through them, took what I needed, and donated the rest. After 22 years, I erased myself from the family photo. I transferred some money to my dad and thanked him for raising me. The cultural arts troupe offered me a new office job, light and low stress. Every evening after work, I'd lean on my cane and watch my former partner dance. Dancing had always been my destiny. More important than any man. That's why I hated Susan so much. If she hadn't stepped on my dress that day, I wouldn't have fallen. I practiced basic moves alone, careful not to strain my right ankle. I held on to hope. Maybe I could dance again. About a month after leaving the hospital, I stopped needing the cane. As long as I avoided intense movement, I could walk normally. Still, I longed for the stage. One day, the deputy leader introduced me to a weekend teaching job at a children's art center. He insisted I could inspire others even without performing. I hesitated at first but eventually agreed. Those classes filled my weekends. Busy, meaningful, and full of laughter. The kids' innocent smiles gave me strength I didn't know I had. 6 months later, during practice for a New Year performance, I attempted a simple jump. Controlled, cautious. But my ankle gave out. I fell, and a man named Peter rushed in. He was the relative of one of my students, always asking about the child's progress, never the parents. He helped me sit up, checking if I was okay. Something odd caught my eye. He was wearing shoes in the practice room. No one wears shoes in there. He noticed me staring, quickly took them off and smiled. Never seen someone injured and still worried about keeping the floor clean. That moment, small, silly, was the start of something new. Maybe healing doesn't always come from grand gestures or revenge. Sometimes it starts with a stranger noticing your pain and helping you stand back up. After my injury, I had stopped using a cane, and as long as I avoided any sudden movements, I could walk normally. Still, there was a part of me that missed dancing every day. I practiced small moves on my own, careful not to push too hard, hoping that one day I might dance again, even if only for myself. 6 months after leaving the hospital, during a practice session for a New Year performance, I tried a simple jump, controlled, cautious, barely off the ground. But my ankle gave out. I stumbled and fell, and before I could even react, Peter rushed in. He half knelt in front of me, asking if I was okay. I hadn't known him well at that point. He was just the uncle of one of my students, someone who always asked about the child's progress, never the parents. He helped me sit up, checked my ankle gently, and then did something odd. He smiled. I noticed something strange. He was wearing shoes inside the practice room. No one does that. When I stared at them, he quickly took them off, still smiling. I've never seen someone injured and still worried about keeping the floor clean, he said. It was such a small moment, almost silly, but it stayed with me. It reminded me that healing doesn't always come from big gestures or grand plans. Sometimes it starts with someone seeing you when you're broken and helping you stand back up. Peter offered to take me to the hospital, but I declined. The pain had eased, and I knew what I could and couldn't handle. He helped me change shoes at the doorway, then took my coat and bag from the shelf without hesitation. He casually mentioned that his nephew was learning painting here on Saturday evenings, as if explaining why he was there so late. He reminded me to be careful with my foot, not to overdo it, and then walked me downstairs, making sure I got safely into a ride-hailing car. If I didn't have to pick up the child, he said, I would have taken you home. I didn't think much of it then. I wasn't in the mood for kindness, especially from strangers. I simply thanked him and left. That evening I picked out a small robot figurine online. The next week, when Peter came to pick up the child again, I handed him the box. Thank you for helping me last week, I said. He looked surprised. It was just a small favor. Do you really need to thank me like this? Shrugged. I happened to see it while shopping. I don't know if you'd like it. He accepted it with a smile. I like it. A few kids who were still around rushed over, including his niece. Teacher, do we get one too? We want a gift too. Their eager eyes lit up the room. I couldn't help but smile and pulled out lollipops, chocolates, and fish sausages from my bag. They grabbed the treats joyfully and scattered around. Peter watched the scene and asked, Did I make you spend money? I shook my head. I bought these for them anyway. Since becoming a teacher, I often bring snacks as extra rewards. He paused, then said, Sue, let me treat you to dinner. I hesitated. I already made plans with someone else. To my surprise, half an hour later, I found myself sitting in a nearby steakhouse, cutting meat with a knife and fork, taking small bites. Peter stood with the child next to my table. What a coincidence, he said, pointing to the couch across from me. Your company didn't show up. I smiled calmly. He had something come up last minute. You don't mind, do you? He gestured toward the couch again. What could I say? I just smiled and nodded. It's better to meet by chance than by appointment, he said. Peter was more talkative and humorous than I expected, which made me feel a bit out of place. His niece, Cindy, kept glancing at him with curious eyes. I followed her gaze, and Peter chuckled. After maintaining a parental image for so long, it's hard to return to normal, he explained. Cindy snorted through her nose. Peter ruffled her hair playfully, and she rolled her eyes again. I felt a twinge of envy watching their family dynamic. My mother had left after my father remarried, and since then I had no contact with her. My father's attention was solely on my stepmother and Susan. Later that evening, I received a friend verification message from Peter. He had added me through the business card push from Cindy's mom. He sent a photo of the robot figurine I had given him, placed neatly on his desk next to a corner of his laptop. Thank you. I really like it. You're welcome, I replied. From then on, Peter would occasionally like my social media posts, and sometimes I'd do the same. Through these small interactions, I discovered that he knew the leader and deputy leader of our provincial art troupe, and their relationship seemed quite good. However, what Peter actually did for a living wasn't obvious from his social media. He might have restricted some posts from my view. William occasionally checked in with messages. "How's your foot doing?" "Much better, thanks." Although we could no longer be lovers, we didn't need to be enemies. I never blocked him, nor did I consider doing so. Adult estrangements often drift apart naturally. But it was Susan who kept messaging me. Affectionately, persistently. "Sister, can you forgive me? Sister, you're so great. Many other guys like you, but I only have William. I can't leave him, sister." Then she sent a photo of diamond rings. "Which one do you think looks better?" One almost identical to the engagement ring I had once worn. I felt a bit suffocated each time she sent a message seeking forgiveness or showing off her relationship. I usually replied with a single sentence. She mostly responded with how good I was and how much she loved me. On this particular day, she wrote, "Sister, you must be angry with what you saw. Feel so sad. After all, it's the room you lived in for more than 10 years. I rolled my eyes, turned off the screen, cursed under my breath, and looked out the window. Peter chuckled softly beside me. I turned to him silently. "Are you enjoying yourself when someone else is upset?" "Yes." "When you roll your eyes," he said, "you look even more lively and cute than usual." I immediately retorted, "Are you driving?" He didn't reply but pursed his lips, a slight smile playing at the corner of his mouth. Cindy, sitting in the back, piped up, "Sue, my uncle wishes he had a pair of eyes on you." Peter smiled, glancing at Cindy through the rearview mirror. I turned around, pretending to be serious. "Kids don't talk nonsense." "I'm not talking nonsense," Cindy retorted, looking at Peter provocatively and mimicking the tone of an adult. "My mom said that. How old are you? Can't even chase girls properly. Have to use your niece as a shield." I felt embarrassed on the spot. Peter wasn't completely at ease either. He raised his left hand, resting it on the window frame, rubbed his temple, and tried to lighten the awkward atmosphere with a smile. "Caught red-handed, huh?" He glanced at me and changed the subject. "Sue, don't you remember me?" I really didn't remember. It was only after Peter half reminded me, half directly stated, that I recalled a year when after every performance, someone would send a basket of flowers. The signature on those baskets was Peter's. Back then, we had actually met once, after one performance. Peter, accompanied by the troupe leader, personally invited me to perform at their company's annual meeting, promising good compensation. I declined directly, saying I had to visit my boyfriend's hometown to meet his parents. After that, neither Peter nor his flower baskets appeared again. Hit me like a thunderbolt. "Did you think, Sue, that now that you're in my car, I can finally succeed in pursuing you?" Peter asked with a playful smile. The thunderbolt in my heart slowly dissipated, replaced by a sense of relief tinged with disappointment. I was just an ordinary woman with desires like anyone else, yearning for someone to like me. Who was I compared to a star? I chuckled at myself, shifting my gaze outside the window. Outside, the city lights were coming on. I was just a dancer who might never set foot on stage again, an administrative staff member at the provincial arts troupe and a teacher at a children's art institution. "You're the brightest," Peter's voice sounded again, deep and slow, as if he had pondered it for a while. "Sue, shall we give it a try?" The enclosed space of the car was quiet. I pondered for a moment before saying, "Okay." And that's how it began. Peter turned out to be a perfect boyfriend. Every morning, he would drive halfway across the city, bringing fresh flowers to pick me up for work. In the afternoon, he would pick me up again after work, and we'd have dinner together before he drove me home. This routine was consistent from Monday to Friday. On weekends, when I worked at the art gallery, he would spend the entire day with me, either working on his laptop in the parents' rest area or standing in the corridor by the classrooms, sneakily watching me. Honestly, this kind of care and attention was something I had never experienced from William. It was sweet. The troop leader teased me after seeing Peter several times. Not easy to be patient and see the moon emerge from the clouds. The deputy leader chimed in. "When's the wedding banquet?" I didn't know how to respond. My relationship with Peter was just beginning, and marriage seemed a long way off. However, Peter smoothly continued. Thanks for the well wishes. I'll keep working hard, and you please say a few more good words for me. Help me bring Sue home sooner. The troop leader and deputy leader both looked at me with meaningful glances, as if saying, you can do it. I remained non-committal. The troop leader later asked me in private, are you really clueless, or just pretending? I was perplexed. He had to point out that Peter was a famous wealthy bachelor worth billions, ruthless in the business world but with a soft spot for me. I should seize the opportunity. I, on the other hand, hesitated. I knew Peter was well off from his car, attire and mannerisms, but I hadn't realized the extent until now. I felt undeserving and subconsciously wanted to retreat, unsure of what to do. Our relationship had hit a stalemate. I didn't want to commit, and he didn't want to step back. We were more than friends, but not yet lovers. Once, a receptionist at the Children's Art Institution chatted with me about Peter. Peter is so handsome and elegant. He really cares about you. Every time he's here, while other parents are focused on their children, he's always watching you. His fondness written all over his face. The last time you fell, his face turned pale instantly. Before we could react, he had already rushed out, not even taking his phone. It's true love. I remembered that incident, when Peter rushed into the dance studio, half kneeling in front of me, first nervous, then smiling, asking if I was okay. He effortlessly explained why he was there, helped me get dressed, carried my bag, and escorted me downstairs, but avoided accompanying me home. So considerate. When did you start having designs on me? I asked him one night, smiling. I heard you were single, he replied, not shying away from the topic. I felt I couldn't miss this chance. Instead of waiting for someone else to make you happy, I thought I should take a shot. I believe I can do it better than most men. His voice grew deeper. I was afraid you might make a wrong choice, settling for someone inferior to me. And even more afraid that I would regret it. In the background, Nordic folk music played, ethereal and chilly. I looked at him. It was the most heartfelt confession I had ever heard. So I allowed him to kiss me. Sometimes in relationships between men and women, crossing a certain threshold just naturally leads to the next step. Peter was apparently a kissing enthusiast. Every morning after handing me a rose, the next thing he'd do was lean in and peck my lips. After I got in the car with my seat belt fastened, he'd lean in for another kiss. Laughing, I said, "That's enough. In public." He chuckled and touched his mouth, still seemingly not satisfied. I've been thinking all this time, those few kisses just didn't feel enough. What to do? I didn't bother responding. He continued on his own. "Sue, why do you smell so good?" Jokingly, I said, "Probably just mouthwash." He joined in the laughter. When we arrived below the arts troupe building, the familiar routine repeated. Kisses, kisses, kisses. You've got to control yourself. Everyone you know is watching. I lightly pushed him away. Everyone in the troupe knows I'm pursuing you. What's there to control? Peter said, embracing my waist tighter with one hand. Besides, I've already exercised a lot of self-control. His words trailed off as his gaze dropped to my lips. My heart pounded fast, and my mind filled with inappropriate yet beautiful imagery. I almost wanted to run away. A low chuckle came from behind. I never knew that being in a relationship with a mature man could be so sweet, even sweeter than a first love. With Peter, he knew exactly when to act and when not to, giving me the utmost agency in his words. After taking 99 steps, he'd extend his hand on the final step. I just had to place my hand in his, and that final step he would still take it. As long as I didn't retreat, it would all be fine. Under the night sky beneath a towering clock tower, Peter held me close. Regret lacing his voice, he said, "I missed you for so many years." At that point, I was already heading toward WS, meeting my boyfriend's parents. If I showed up now, I'd be a home wrecker. I mumbled in his arms, remembering we hadn't even reached the point of meeting each other's parents yet. It was as if I were a thorn in his side, as he held me even tighter, his nose rubbing against mine. Apologies to my wife's opinions. My marriage doesn't need to concern anyone else. Whoever it is, they're just being informed. So, when do you plan to marry me? I remained silent. I decided to retract my assessment of him being a mature man. We had only taken 999 steps of those agreed upon 1,000 steps, and he was already trying to step over the last one, assuming the title of wife without consulting me. Are you with someone else now? William's booming voice echoed over the phone, interrogating me without even using my name. I was taken aback. William, we've been broken up for so long. You and Susan have a child. Can't I have a boyfriend? What child? Have you forgotten where we were engaged? It was you hugging Susan that day, wasn't it? We broke up. We broke up on that very day. You're not suited for double-dealing like this. What breakup? When did I ever agree to break up? You've been the one avoiding me all this time. Peter took the phone directly from my hand, not mincing words. William, right? I'm Peter, Sue's current boyfriend. Please refrain from harassing my girlfriend, or I'll have to call the police. I didn't know how William reacted after Peter finished speaking. He hung up and promptly blocked William's number. I looked at him in astonishment. That's my phone. Did you just block someone without my consent? He smiled. Sometimes a girlfriend needs to listen to her boyfriend. He returned the phone to me. It was the first time I glimpsed his possessive side. William and Susan must have seen me with Peter on the same day, because after William's call the previous day, the next day Susan showed up at my doorstep, outside the practice room of the art institution. When I saw her standing just half a step behind Peter, chatting as if they were just finishing up a conversation, a smile bright on her face, my heart skipped a beat. I had lost to her once before, and I was afraid she was trying to repeat history. What are you here for? I asked, full of hostility, even more than when she used to pester me and William. Peter walked up to me, turned to look at Susan with a raised eyebrow, as if inquiring. Susan looked full of grievances. Sister, I miss you. It's been so long since I last saw you. Mom and Dad miss you too. When are you going back? She looked at Peter pleadingly and stuttered. Peter, please talk to Sis for me. I couldn't swallow my anger and turned to leave. Peter caught up to me and asked if I was mad at him for talking to other women. I'm not mad at you, I sighed sourly. I'm just uncomfortable. Peter, we've just met, and now we're already brother and sister. I didn't ask her to call me sister. Peter smirked smugly. Sue, are you jealous? How about you also call me brother? I glared at him. He continued. If you call me brother, I guarantee no one else in the world would dare to call me that. I rolled my eyes at him, looking at his serious expression, and couldn't help but laugh. What a twisted sense of humor. Such a disgusting nickname. As it turned out, Peter indeed had a twisted sense of humor. Much later, at specific times or occasions like when we argued or made love, this nickname was like a switch. Susan took a liking to Peter over the years. Whenever I had something, she would look up to it, and most of the time she would snatch it away. After that meeting, she often ran to the art institutions on weekends, ostensibly to seek forgiveness from me, but in reality, she was just trying to get close to Peter. Be careful of your little sister, Peter warned. She's like a tea serpent. I've rejected her many times, but she's still swooping in. I grunted an acknowledgement. The time I spent with Peter wasn't as long as the time with William back then, but for some reason I had confidence in him. Men of his caliber, if they wanted pretty women, could easily have them with a wave of their hand. He didn't disappoint my confidence in him. I don't like it when others call me that, Peter said firmly. Susan, you better call me Peter or brother-in-law. Even though you're Sue's sister, please have some self-respect. Whether I'm good or not has nothing to do with you. I don't want Sue to misunderstand. I'm not your William. Your tactics won't work on me. I can distinguish between a stone and a gem quite clearly. These words were relayed to me by the receptionist, along with some flattery. "Sue, Peter is so handsome. He talks to Susan with a commanding presence. I've never seen a man reject a woman so decisively. You should get married soon." After Susan hit a wall with Peter, she turned to me for conquest, determined not to get up. She cried in front of the parents picking up their children, asking if I was still mad at her because I was blaming her and that's why brother-in-law was ignoring her. She said she realized her mistake, that she only had one sister, and nothing was more important than her sister. She asked how she could be forgiven. Did she have to kneel down and bow? She cried so hard, as if she was about to faint the next second. Many onlookers were pointing fingers. "Sue, forgive her. How can siblings hold grudges? Isn't it natural for an older sister to give in to her younger sister?" I laughed in exasperation. Who said the older sister must give in? What if the younger sister is a scoundrel? I looked at the crowd. The best way to deal with green tea is to accuse publicly. At my engagement ceremony, my sister went to confess her love to my fiancé. They rolled on the couch, caught in infidelity. My sister stepped on my skirt, causing me to tumble down the stairs and break my leg. A dance. Susan had once taunted me with this ring, saying, "Leave this ring for someone else. I don't need it." Turned out hearing someone speak when you no longer love them is torture. So when Peter showed up at the company door, I almost lit up. I had only one thing to say to William. "Sorry, my boyfriend is here. If everything goes smoothly, I will marry him. So don't come looking for me anymore." Peter and William. Honestly, I had never compared them before. But at that moment, seeing both of them together, the only word in my mind was downgrade. Peter's tall figure, along with his face, exuded the word elite from both inside and out, while William, with empty eyes, looked like he hadn't slept in days. More importantly, William seemed to recognize Peter. His eyes showed hesitation, mostly disbelief. Finally he stammered, "Peter," then quickly left. This time even I couldn't understand. "Was this your way of scaring off a rival?" asked Peter. He didn't answer my question, changing the subject. "I just heard someone say they're going to marry me. That was just a strategy, mere words. Don't take it seriously." "Peter, this is not a strategy," I said, my voice wavering slightly. Peter reached into his pocket and pulled out a jewelry box. He took out a ring, one he had clearly kept for this moment, and put it on. "First, so we can shoo away the flies. Otherwise, we'll have to do it again." I hesitated. We had been together for less than 3 months. Was it too quick to agree to marriage? What about the 999 steps we agreed on? Peter seemed to sense my thoughts. "Don't burden yourself. It's just chasing away flies." His tone was light, almost casual. Would proposing be that casual? How can you skip the red wine, roses, chocolates, followed by a lavish dinner and city-wide fireworks? I hesitated further. The ring he gave me was obviously expensive, with a diamond at least 3 times larger than the one William had given me. "It's fake," Peter said, sensing my uncertainty, and slid the ring onto my finger. I laughed as I hung up the phone. Some people just think they're clever. Dancers unable to dance. Painters unable to hold a brush. Singers losing their voice. Or social media stars losing their looks. All crucial for their survival. For me, dance wasn't just a career. It was a dream and life itself. I visited the art troupe to see Sue. She stood outside the practice room, looking through the glass door at others dancing. Her expression touched me deeply. Sue wasn't a prodigy. She became our troupe's lead dancer solely through hard work. The troupe leader had said, unfortunately, her choice in men wasn't good. I had chosen the Children's Art Museum for work. Cindy was already studying there, and I took up the job of picking up and dropping off the kids. I made my sister's life more leisurely, and she taunted me about it. "Cindy, you better support your uncle in the future. Whether you get an aunt depends on you." Cindy readily agreed. From then on, I had the opportunity to interact with Sue every time after school. I would ask about her child, and she never tired of answering, trying to adapt to this new life. The only worry was that Sue often danced secretly, testing her injured foot. I sat in the parents' rest area, my eyes fixed on her, palms sweating. The rest of the story you all know. Fell. I helped her up and we finally started our relationship, eating, dating, kissing. The feeling of being in love was great. Sue was sweeter and softer than I had imagined. I regretted not being bolder back then. As for Susan, I declined firmly. Women like her are common in life, thinking they are young and beautiful, believing that by offering themselves, men won't refuse. They think conquering men means conquering the world. William not only blinded his eyes but also clouded his judgment, choosing stones over stars. Thank him. The only thing he did wrong was that since he had chosen Susan, he shouldn't have lusted after a past flame. He handed the disgusting old engagement ring to both Sue and me. I subtly hinted to the boss of the software company that our African branch needed people to build it up. William was sent away with a plane ticket. It took half a year for someone to operate on Susan's leg, in a scene identical to Sue's injury. However, her luck was a bit worse. She broke both her shin and ankle. My wedding with Sue was half a year later. Peter, seek likes and comments online to wish us blessings. May all the lovers in the world finally become one.